how did you meet Andy Milne and end up in the Dapp theory? And there's a lot of people won't know who the Dapp theory is because maybe they're just sort of like in their teens now, and this was like in 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But that band, that band was just so, for me, absolutely cutting edge, just absolutely on the money in every way. How did you get into doing that band, and also what did you learn from it?
Wow, I learned a lot, but I got the
because these guys were heavy. Heavy. I just wanted to put that in there. This was heavy stuff.
Oh man, yeah. But I got the Dapp Theory gig trying to get the Steve Coleman gig.
Really?
Yeah. This is funny. So I heard Steve Coleman's music for the first time when I was about 19 or 20.
Yeah.
And after playing, in live situations, playing a lot of progressive rock and things like that, I heard Steve for the first time and thought, okay, here are all these rhythms and then some, but then I'm also hearing the music that I grew up with, James Brown and all that stuff, and I was like, well, this is home. This is what I want to do. So anytime Steve came to Toronto with his band, I would be front row center. And I ended up talking to Andy Milne, who was the piano player in Steve's band.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I'm just this kid, but I would really love to get into this music. And Andy said, look, send me a cassette of you playing some stuff, and I'll give it a listen and I'll send it to Steve. The tape never got to Steve. I got a call from Andy like a couple months later saying, listen, I'm recording some demos for another record. Are you willing to fly to D.C., to Washington, D.C. to record a couple of tunes? And I was like, yeah, of course. So we recorded 4 tunes, and those demos ended up being on an album called The New Age of Aquarius, which is the first record that I did with Dapp Theory.
Yeah.
I can, the stuff that I learned in that band could fill Wikipedia.
For anybody that's not heard the Dapp Theory, how would you put a label on it?
It's very funky, groove-oriented music with very non-traditional rhythmic structure and harmonic and melodic structure.
Yeah.
But it's always accessible through the groove. I mean, there's a lot of sort of fusion-y music that's like a lot of notes and a lot of different rhythms, and it gets a little confusing. I think the element of soul is so deep with Steve Coleman's music and with Dapp Theory, and hopefully with my music, that it's still accessible. So there's some variables that may be unknown or challenging to a listener, but there's always something that you can nod your head to or get into on another level.
Yeah, there's always I think the melodies were always real strong, and
Yeah.
Obviously there was the underlying crazy rhythms that you guys played. So on a personal level, obviously I've never asked you this, but the time signature thing, I'm guessing that nobody was counting when you were doing it. It was
No.
Was it like a learned rhythm? So you'd learn the rhythms and just do it from like that?
Yeah, well, this was one of the first things that I had learned in joining Andy's band. They have such a great concept. Andy got it from Steve, and Steve got it from a guy named Doug Hammond. Doug Hammond? Yeah. Where the drum parts were specific and written out. So what would happen is Andy would write a tune, and then he would send a cassette of the demo with just the drum part. So we would learn
just
the drum
part. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we got together in the studio, we would all sing the drum part. And then, the drum part really becomes the main melody of the tune.
Yeah.
So if you've got that in your head the whole time, then you can't get off. And then the time signature becomes irrelevant at that point.
Yeah.
We would do clinics at Cal Arts or these schools across the States and start by playing a tune. And we'd finish the tune, and the first question would always be, what time signature was that? And we just kind of look around like, I don't know.
Nobody knows. Yeah. But I think it's a common thing, I get asked a lot about how to, I suppose, prepare yourself for playing in odd time signatures, right? And interestingly, just a few weeks ago, my little boy who's 3 we had something playing in the car, and it was in 7, something like that. And it had a real nice melody. Melody was in 7. And anyway, so he sings as he goes to sleep. It's just this thing that he does. And so we put him to bed, and we've got one of these little monitors that we, so we can hear him and, make sure he's not, doing anything he shouldn't, running around his room and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's singing this tune in 7. And I just thought to myself, this is just a fantastic example of time signatures are just really, people get intimidated by, oh, it's in 7/4, oh, it's going to be hard. But in a way, it's just really, when you learn it on a level where you're not having to count, it's so much easier because it's a tune, it's a melody, it's a groove,
Absolutely. I feel like we should all be at the point where 11/8 feels as comfortable as 4/4. The only reason why it's not is because Western music has been so insistent upon keeping things so symmetrical.
Yeah.
With 4 beats and everything, 8 bars, but that's just Western music. If you go beyond that, if you listen to Bulgarian music or Turkish music or Indian music, kids are dancing to that stuff.
Absolutely,
the time signatures are all over the place.
Yeah. Do you feel that after that band you could adapt to different time signatures a lot easier?
Yeah, it really helped with my perception of those time signatures, because now, my approach to that kind of thing is always trying to hear the larger phrase. Yeah. So if something's in 7/8, I'm hearing 7/4 or even 7/2.
Yeah.
Because those larger phrases allow for me to relax more inside the groove.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is you can hear the way the smaller parts sort of turn around on themselves. So if there's something happening in 7/8 where you have ducka 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 ducka, I'm like ducka 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 ducka, and then you hear the way all the syncopations happen in that groove.
You're trying to hear this sort of you're trying to hear sort of like some sort of like internal clave, so you can hear it flip over on itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all those little things that happen when they flip over make for some really cool accents in the rhythm.
Yeah. Is that something that you try and bring into your own music?
Definitely, yeah. I always try to. I'm writing for myself primarily. Yeah. I want to write and play music that I would like to listen to first of all. And I think messing with different sort of rhythmic structures allows for me to keep things interesting for myself. And also, I think it's cool for the listener to do a little bit of work.
Absolutely,
So the cool thing is once that concept is sort of employed, I feel like everyone can sort of experience the music on the same level. Everyone can feel that same sort of sense of discovery, because now everyone has to start from scratch and figure out what's happening. And then we all get it, and then we can all vibe, and it's great for everybody on and off the stage.